I'm delighted to welcome Kist, who is CEO of Saeta. So, Vic, can I hand over to you? Please introduce yourself to the audience, and could you tell us a little bit about what Saeta is?
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. So Saeta is based in Oxfordshire, Upper Hayford. We've got about 30 people, growing very fast, and we focus on electric drive solutions. The company started quite some years ago, focusing on bringing premium electric motorbikes to the market. I joined a couple of years ago because the founder fell ill, and I was delighted to join and help the team, and I quickly recognized that the USP of Saeta was actually the electric drivetrain. I'm an automotive engineer myself. I worked at Cosworth in Northampton for many years, doing big petrol engines and Bentley stuff and Audi stuff. And to get this far into my career, to now lead a team and bring affordable electric mobility to mass market from Oxfordshire is a true honour.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, I know your technology is really exciting, and it plays right to the heart of the low carbon agenda. And hopefully through the course of the conversation, we'll get opportunity to talk a little bit about the many different applications for your motors. But we're here today to talk about business development and the company's experience through COVID and how you've had to adapt the way that you work to continue to drive the business forward, which I know you're doing in a very positive way. So perhaps we could start off by casting ourselves back to 2019, when we were all operating in a very different way. And perhaps you could describe what life was like then from a business development perspective and the kinds of things that you were doing at that stage to take your business development activities forward.
Yeah, it's, well, I mean, 2019, it feels like years ago, but that was the previous normal. And as I've done for the last 25 years, I tend to travel a lot. I focus on sales a lot myself. I love designing programs with clients. They have a vehicle, they want to, in the case of Saeta, they want to go electric. I like to get into the detail with the clients, as in like, okay, do you want to have it integrated into your gearbox, into your suspension? You could even put it into the wheel. It looks a little bit like a wheel. So and from history, I don't know, for the last 100 years, that's what people have done for in face-to-face meetings. So I would be in India together with our head of commercial for at least 5, if not 10 weeks per year, trying to get further into Asia. I mean, the electrification of everything. If you put this into a motorcycle, it will give you the performance feel of a 125cc motorbike. And that's why we developed it, because we believe that that is where the electrification of everything will take place. Low speed, low voltage. But to convince those clients, I mean, 3 years ago, we were still convincing people the world will go electric. Now, that conversation, at least, we don't have to have anymore. But still, you need that human interaction, and I'm grateful that we've built a very strong network in India, in Asia, because that's where everybody drives on these 125cc motorbikes. So our philosophy is very much developed in the UK, made around the world. So we sell manufacturing licenses, or we do joint ventures. But it takes a lot of time. I used to spend half my life on aeroplanes and trying to prepare presentations in tiny seats, and I'm a fairly tall Dutchman. And then as soon as you get there, you're jet lagged. But that's what we were used to. In a way, the COVID reset, as we like to call it, is not all negative.
So you've painted a very clear picture there of your market being India, Asia, or a key early market for you. Um, so presumably challenges for you in terms of maintaining relationships when you had to shift to operating in a different way were around challenges around different time zones and managing diaries. But tell us in March 2020, when we all suddenly stopped operating in the way we were before, what changed at Saeta, and how did you adapt to the new ways of operating?
Well, first of all, it felt extremely scary. I have about 30. I think we dipped to about 20 people. We're back up to 30 already. But you're a CEO and you've got 30 people on the payroll, and you're like, well, hang on. If the world is going into lockdown, how are we going to pay the salaries in a couple of months' time? Now, first of all, I mean, as you know, I'm a Dutchman, but I've had a very long affair with the UK, and I started in the UK when I was 23, I think, at Cosworth in Northampton. And it's with this news breaking, obviously, my kids stopped going to school. My wife was suddenly working from home. I have a nice home office, so I was blessed in a way that at least, and I tend to talk quite a lot, so I'm in meetings all day, and we implemented Teams a few months before COVID, just for improving effectiveness. But people still tended to like meet each other face to face. April was very scary. Suddenly, like everybody was at home, people were furloughed. I continued to work together with my leadership team. There was a lot of government support, but there was a lot of worry, like, how can the government actually afford this? Like, hang on, the government's going to pay 80% of my salary cost. Is that really going to happen, or is that money going to show up in 2 years' time? And the UK delivered, to be honest. I mean, Holland delivered as well, and Germany and France. I mean, I don't know how they did it, but they delivered. But what I did realize, and this is where I think some extra attention is required, the UK have done something extremely well. And I was discussing that with the minister a couple of months ago. And that's the EIS investment scheme. And that's why, especially the Midlands, Oxford, Cambridge, that ellipse, there are so many beautiful startups, the latest and greatest battery technologies, drive technologies, and pioneering. We're pioneering like we used to do in the late 50s and 60s, before I was even born. And what is interesting is that, first of all, we refinanced the company. So therefore, life didn't really change. We were still in R&D phase. We didn't really have income. And therefore, after 2 months, I was like, well, hang on, we didn't have income before COVID. We still don't have any income. Why are we all sitting at home? So we basically sent the people back in. We're based on an old airfield. We've got a lot of space. So we created bubbles. We studied through the night to educate ourselves of what the new regulations were. And of all things, we started production after the IP and the patents were confirmed. We started it right in the middle of the summer. So right during COVID, little Saeta started production, and we started our PR campaign. As you can see on our YouTube channel, some interesting stuff. And suddenly, Zoom and Teams was allowed. I've been in meetings where, I don't know, I was in my home office, my head of production was in his office, and the head of R&D was in his office. And the two gentlemen were both on site in their own office, talking to each other through a screen to protect the. And it works fantastic. So in terms of keep the business running, COVID hasn't really hurt us. And I know there are many other companies that have been hurt badly. A lot of my investors come from the London scene. Some of those investors have invested into restaurants. I mean, I don't envy their position at all. We're in green technology, and I think COVID, in a way, has allowed people to wake up. On the business development side, we can't do anything else at the moment. I have calls with India and China first thing in the morning, and I finish with America late in the evening. Versus traveling, I mean, I would travel around the whole of India during 5 days, and I would have 7 hours worth of meetings. I can now do 5 times the amount of meetings by not traveling, and it feels better. It makes me feel better. So, but it is getting to the end. It is getting to the end, and there are new business contacts, and I've not met them face to face. I mean, I've been working with them now for 6 months, never met them face to face, and that is getting a little bit strange. So, COVID is not all bad, but it's also nice to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely. So it's really interesting to hear you talk about the fact that innovative businesses and of course innovative businesses working in such an important sector as low carbon technologies have been very resilient in the face of COVID-19, which unfortunately many sectors of the economy have not been. So you've painted a picture of greater productivity because without the traveling, you're able to be both effectively in Asia and America in the same day. But there was something that you said, which I thought was really interesting, and I'd really like to get your thoughts on it, which was that you've developed new business relationships during the course of 2020 and into 21, where you've never met the person in real life. So the whole relationship has been built over the platform that we're speaking on now, platforms like Zoom and Teams, etc. So tell us a little bit more about that. First of all, I'd be really interested to hear from you how you established those new business relationships. Were they clients, customers that found you because of your increased PR activities, or were they people that you found and reached out to, or maybe it was a combination of both? And then also, it would be great to hear, how you've built new relationships when you haven't had that benefit of being in the room with them, and perhaps some of the some of the things that we gain from meeting somebody personally, like the non-verbal communication and things like that. So building new relationships and how you've adapted to doing things online would be great to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. No, it's. I'll share some further slides with you, and there's some interesting press releases that we managed to get out. So first of all, as long as you have the funding, it's important to work with professional PR companies. For any startup, they feel very expensive. They're not, because they can get you into press databases and get your message spread out much further. And that's something I already realized before COVID, to be honest. So, but if there's any startup people listening, for example, it's save up a little bit of money, buy an old car instead of a new car, and spend your money on a PR agent. That will help you. A couple of press articles, and with the new types of social media, LinkedIn, of course, is fantastic. Build your company LinkedIn webpage, maintain it, and feed information. Personally, I still struggle with Twitter, because how much can you? I mean, there's presidents that have done more with Twitter than with email, and it's a mystery to me. So Twitter is not for me. Facebook we don't really use because we're in high tech, but LinkedIn is a fantastic platform, good website, but also just networking. Don't forget, it is I am convinced that the battery technologies, especially the smaller cartridges, it's a bit like, I don't know, 20 years ago, we switched from drills with a cord to drills with a battery. And you don't take the battery out and wait until it's fully charged. You swap it with another one and you can continue. And the same is happening with lightweight mobility. What we see is that that market is so enormous that anyone in this segment, forget the Teslas and the BMWs and the VWs, it's the lightweight mobility, the electrification is going to happen there, and everybody in this field will be sold out for the next 15 years. So we are in a fortunate position that we can cherry pick. So we can almost like look across the industry, and people are like saying to me, like, have you spoken to Triumph yet? And I adore Triumph. I know what's happening with BSA and Norton. I love it. I love it. But Triumph is 50,000 motorbikes per year. We're talking to the board members of Hero and in India, and they make 7 million motorbikes per year. So where should I invest my time? It's not rocket science. So we're very precious over our time. We cherry pick, and we pretty much already know who we want as a customer, and we target them directly.
Great. So that's fantastic. So really important takeaways there, which is that PR is really worth investing in. Platforms like LinkedIn and maintaining a really good website and LinkedIn pages where you're putting new information out, really prioritizing your customer base and being strategic about reaching out and engaging with the right customers. So that's incredibly helpful insight. Thank you. Let's just turn to that question of building relationships. You know, any things that you feel that have worked well, where you've been trying to develop a rapport with somebody that you've never met?
I have the face-to-face contact. It helps a lot. Like you and I, we've never met face-to-face, but you can see into my office, you can see me, I can see you, and it's not entirely what we're used to. But I see it with my kids. They're like hiding in their bedrooms. They're doing really well at school. They've got much more time to do the homework. And in the evening, I said to my son, I was like, why didn't you come down and join a film? He's like, no, I was on a call. I was like, school call? No, I was talking to mates. And they were physically Zooming. And for them, I mean, the young people, they adapt so much quicker. I'm almost starting to feel old. I miss the handshake. I mean, that's the bit I miss the most. It's like, it's great to meet someone and shake their hands. On the other hand, it's fine. It's fine because we're all stuck in the same situation. What will be interesting is in a year's time, would I still go to India for 10 weeks? Probably not. I'll probably reduce it to 2 trips a year. To at least have some social contact, but all of the business will be done through the screen. And if we really want to do something about climate change and the green revolution that we are in the middle of, then travel less. Why would we meet face to face if you don't have to? And I'm sure our generation will struggle with that a little bit more. It'll be much easier for the younger generation. But at least we have this technology. I mean, imagine this happened in I don't know, the 40s or 50s.
Absolutely. So I'm conscious that our time is coming to an end for this conversation, but that is a really interesting point to end the discussion, which is that you were saying, looking forward, you think that there'll be a much more blended approach. So we won't revert back to the way that we were before, but some of these new ways of working will become part of the new normal for us all.
Yes. one of the apps that I like to look at is Flight Tracker. You can download it for free, and you can see how many aeroplanes are moving around. And I was tracking that on a weekly basis. I'm an engineer, don't forget. And I was looking at Europe versus America in April last year. And I mean, look at the sky. There are no white lines. It gives me hope. It makes me happy. So let's stop traveling so much and be more precious with this planet. I'm not sounding like a businessman now, but I do have kids, and I hope to have grandkids in the future. So let's take positive things out of COVID, not only negative things.
Well, that sounds like a fantastic point on which we end this conversation. I know that there are fantastic things ahead for Saeta. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the business moves forward over the course of the next year. And it's great to hear that despite COVID-19, it's actually been a really productive period for the company, and that you've shifted into production during a time when perhaps some companies might have decided to pack up and not continue with that. So congratulations on that. Vic, thank you very much for your time, for sharing your insights. It's been fantastic. And good luck to everybody at Saeta.
Thank you. And once the doors are open again, come and visit, and come and ride some bikes and go-karts on our airfield in Upper Heyford.
I will definitely take you up on that offer. Thank you very much.
Great. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.